welcome back to my channel. It's Christina at Homeschool and Grace, and today's video is a weekly update for weeks 3 and 4, and I'm super excited to share with you how these weeks went, and how our school is going, and all that stuff. So, to start out with, this is still going like the best school year so far in like quite a while. I feel like I have a hair on my forehead. Especially after last year's school, it was so terrible. So I just feel like it just is such a better year for us and a better start, and it's so much smoother. So we're definitely sticking to a schedule, and I'll show. So I made a video of our schedule to share with you guys, and I'm not sure if I like how it turned out, so we'll see. We haven't like edited it or anything, my husband. I really should say he hasn't edited it yet, but I just really want it to be helpful for you guys, and since it's so like specific to us, it's hard to tell like, will this be even helpful? But I guess, you know, those kind of videos definitely helped me when I needed them, and so anyways, it doesn't matter. Okay, so here is kind of like our schedule. Hold it up close. So we start early and go, there you go. I hope you could see that. So I print this out every week. Sunday night I update it with the math lessons for the week for the girls, my two older, and then their language lessons for today I update for my two olders, and then like any writing skills, and then pretty much like practice times for musical instruments, patching times for my first grader. Because she has to patch her eye. What else do I do? Rest times are scheduled in. Lunchtime. Outside time. So we're pretty routine and scheduled, and it's been really helping this year. So this video will be coming out soon. I may have to refilm it, but we'll see. Okay. So on to weeks 3 and 4. Okay, I'll start out with my oldest, and then we'll go to first grade, and then pre-K and preschool. Okay, so week 3 and 4. Oh, again, so they're in exploration to 1850, and I'll try and put timestamps below for each curriculum so that you kind of have an idea if you're looking for a specific curriculum. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we'll start up here at the top and just work our way down. That's what we pretty much do. Except for math and language arts. So I'm going to start with that first for them. So for math, my two oldest are still working through, they're both not working through beta. I just grabbed one book. My third grader is working through beta, math UC, and my oldest is still working through delta. So they're both doing really well with this. So how we start our week is Mondays, they watch the video for this, and I help them, you know, with the lessons, with any questions. I really work with them like individually, like, okay, so remember this concept, this is what you're learning. And then they practice, they do the regular lessons and then review, and then by Friday they're to take the test for that lesson week. If they've done well on their practice and review pages, then they can do the test Thursday. And if they get 100% or like just 2 wrong is typically my number, then they can be done for the week. If they get more than 2 wrong, then they have to do another lesson on Friday to make up for the test that they've struggled on. So that's math. Okay. Then they're both working through their language lessons for today. They're both really enjoying these. They really like these. The lessons are typically pretty, short. It doesn't feel like we're doing a ton. Okay, so my third grader was learning about possessive words, and she was memorizing a poem. So I didn't make her memorize it, but she did have to do the copy work for it, which we had a little bit of a battle with that, but she did finally do it. And so it was good to practice endurance when we don't want to. Okay, so there was language lessons. Okay, my oldest is doing writing skills. So this that week's lessons, she was learning about interesting sentences. And I gotta be honest, this was a struggle for both of us, like for me to teach her and for her to do, because they give a sentence and then she's to make it more interesting, which you would think is an easy idea, but I don't know. Sometimes for me, and I think she is a lot like me in her learning style, when someone tells us a sentence, we're like, well, that's a perfectly fine sentence. Like, I cannot think of how to make it more interesting. And then someone will come along and be like, oh, just do this. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. But, like, for us to think it through was very difficult. So she needed a lot of help that lesson. And so we ended up just doing a lot of dictation. Like, she would kind of tell me, and then I kind of help her, like, okay, let's build this sentence together. So that was a tougher lesson. She's now on to a new learning how to argue, which she thinks is so funny. Like, why do I have to learn how to argue? But it's actually like an argument, how to like argue your side, which is a good thing to learn. I'm not explaining this real, but okay. So that's what she's doing for writing skills. Okay, we started them out with spelling power this last week 4, actually. We started back up with spelling power. I decided, this doesn't come with My Father's World stuff, but I bought them the spelling power books, student record books. I got this we have a local homeschool store that ships. If you're interested, I'll link it below, that we really like, Exodus books, and so I picked those up there. So this is the 3rd grade, and this is the 6th grade. They really look the same. I think the lines are just a bit smaller. Yeah. So you probably can't even see that. Anyways, so this has the bigger lines, where this has the college line. And I did not have them do the pre-test or the placement test, the survey test. I just decided, okay, my 3rd grader will just start with A1, and my 6th grader will start B1 or C1, and then we'll just go from there. And we're just going to do 5 words a day. If they master those ones, they'll do the next 5. If they master those ones, then we're done for the week. So I'm not doing it every single day, because I just don't have the energy. So it's probably too easy for them right now, but I figure it's going to progress, and that's all I can do. There you go. Okay. Oh, I grabbed my oldest language lessons. Let's see if there's anything. Okay, so she really likes these picture studies we do. So she did that, and then she's learning about a noun and a poem, and I mean, she knows what a poem is, but she had to read a poem. So that's always fun. Okay. That was English, spelling, and math. They are both reading, also books. My oldest right now is reading The Tale of Despero. I'm letting her just pick her book, and then my youngest, or my 3rd grader, is reading Amelia Bedelia, if you're interested at all. So I pulled out my old Honey for a Child's Heart from the 1st grade curriculum, and they have like easy readers, so that was good for my 3rd grader, because she needed new books, so we ordered a few new books for her too. So I got her The Long Way to a New Land. This was recommended in there, so it looked like a fun one. I thought it would go along with what they're currently learning, but I think this was more when they were going to Ellis Island. Yeah, I think that was later, but still a fun one. Okay, so Bible. We'll start there. I always say this, I have curriculum all around. So it is still all around me. Okay, I grabbed the books. Here they are. Okay, so we're still using Then Sings My Soul. So this song was Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, and I'll link the song we use below to sing along with. It was it's not old, but it was an Alan Jackson. He sang it at like I don't know. He made a CD of a bunch of hymns. He did a hymn CD. I don't know. And so I loved Alan Jackson in like 1995. I remember I was a huge Alan Jackson fan. So when I found that he did Leaning on the Everlasting Arm, I'm like, oh, girls, we are listening to Alan Jackson. So that's the one we listen to. If you don't like country and you don't like Alan Jackson, then don't listen to it. Okay. We're still doing the Plan B for memorizing James 1. The whole chapter. It's kind of slow going. We're every day just reading it together, trying to do it without looking, and that's kind of how we're doing it. Nothing fancy. We also read In God We Trust. We learned about the Valiant Virginians. I can't remember what happened much in that chapter. And then I think we also learned about the Pilgrims. Yeah, the Mayflower Pilgrims. I will say, we've been also for Read Aloud. Let's skip ahead a little. We're reading Almost Home about the Mayflower and the Pilgrims, and I realized, like, I can't whine about any of my issues because, I mean, how she describes how it was on the Mayflower, it just sounds horrible. And I'm like, why do I even complain about anything? And then just reading about the Pilgrims and them coming to America, and like they get off the boat and there's like nothing prepared for them. It had to be so hard. And I'm like, we have nothing to complain about. Nothing. So one portion really stood out to me. Okay, so there's a chapter about mutiny on the Mayflower, and they were having all these issues, and the men were going crazy up above. And so the girls go below. So all the women below seemed worried as they went about their chores. But no matter how tense things might become, babies still cried, people got hungry, and the sick needed tending. And I highlighted that. My daughter was like, why are you highlighting that? I'm like, because no matter what's going on in the world, there's still babies that are crying, people that need to be fed, and sick people need to be taken care of. And like you gotta do your laundry. Like, I think sometimes, at least for myself, like I get so focused on like the world is falling apart, and it's like, but I can do nothing about that. All I can do is like where God has placed me, and that's in my house, taking care of my babies, dealing with my laundry and my dishes, homeschooling my kids. Like, that's what I can do. So I really appreciated that like, I don't know, it was just like so clearly to me, just take care of the babies. Take care of the babies. Okay. Let's see, what else? Okay, we're also for history. So we're reading The Story of the World, exploring American history, building a city on. Hey, sorry, my camera ran out of memory, so it's been a couple of hours since I actually was filming, so now I gotta get back to where I was. Where was I? We were talking about history, what we read. So, we were reading through Story of the World, Building a City on the Hill, Exploring American History, and American Pioneers and Patriots. So this is what we went through this last 2 weeks. And we learned about King James, the French in the New World. We learned about Miles Standish and Henry Hudson. Miles Standish, we watched a video that's on YouTube. I'll link it below. It was like it's Bradford. It's actually recommended in the back. William Bradford and the First Thanksgiving. It was an animated Heroes classic. And I tried to look for it to buy it because there's a bunch of videos, but you can't, they're really expensive. And it's like you find one or two and not like the whole set. So but they're all on YouTube. So I sometimes like to just have the DVD. But anyway, so we watched that. So that was a good one. Let's see what else. Okay, so for notebooking. So I haven't been super great about their notebooking this year because they're writing quite a bit, like doing copy work and stuff. So I haven't worried that much about it. But so my third grader, so the paper that it comes with doesn't have the lines for her. So I found the line paper on the Facebook page for the Exploration 1850 in the file section. And so I just had her then cut out the pictures from the student sheet. So she did that, and then my oldest, she just wrote right on the paper. They're still working on their timeline pieces, coloring them, and I still haven't made their new timelines. My first grader actually was asking too, because she needs to make a timeline. I'm like, we gotta go to the Dollar Tree and get all the pieces to make new timeline books. So that's one of my chores for this coming week. Okay, so for science, we're still working through the world of animals, and they're really liking this. They're actually really, really liking this. And there's good discussion questions, and so that's been fun. They were learning about monkeys and apes, and so then my third grader would do some like coloring pages from in here, or dot to dots or something. I was having her read the stories that come in these little storybooks, but she was not enjoying them she wasn't enjoying them very much. So I am just letting her read. Like I said, she's reading Amelia Bedelia, and then she can do like the coloring pages. Let's see here. Oh, so to go with that, again on that files page, someone had made up printable science pages for each subject when it calls for a notebook page, and so then they just had to do the copy work, tracing it. So this one was on the vertebrates, and then on mammals. But anyways, they are really liking this. And then my oldest, hers is in cursive that she's having to then practice that. So that's been good for them. Let's see. So for art, they did one of the paint cards. It was supposed to be paint to still life. I don't think they quite got the concept, but it's cute. So that was fun for them. And then I think that's it. Did I get everything? Okay, yes, okay. Woo. Okay, moving on to first grade. So learning God's story. Okay, so weeks 3 and 4, we did like normal weeks. So she worked through her workbook and any student sheets that came up. So it was a lot of 4 square cards. So it would give a sentence, and then she had to match up the sentence. So working on that. So we are still using these. We're actually going to be starting week 6. So we're still using these for practice. So I'm going to kind of share what's kind of going on with first grade, because we've had to change things up a bit. So starting out, so we're learning about Proverbs, and then we are still working through our big book of 5-minute devotionals, and she learned about bears, and she learned about strange creatures. I don't remember what that was. Oh yeah, the platypus, butterflies, and then for science, she learned about flowers and the seasons. So she started drawing. I'm going to come back to the reading in just a second. Okay, so I realized we didn't finish our seasons little pages we were working on. So this was for fall, and I was really kind of lazy. I just, to make the fall leaves, I just had her use Duodots. So it ended up being the fall colors. And then for winter, I let her paint with white. You can't see any. There was a tree. It's totally gone. It's like a blizzard whiteout. And then we haven't done spring or summer yet, because I forgot. So those are 2 we may or may not go back to. We'll see. Okay, so what else did we do? Okay, so then we did a story on monkeys and frogs and hummingbirds. Oh, we read through, okay, this animals. So I still really like this. Okay, so she was still working through each short vowel sound. We were going through the words for that, so she'd mark the vowel with an uppercase or lowercase, or not an uppercase or lowercase, with a smiley face. And I always say like it's happy, because it gets to use its short name, short sound. And so she was going through all that. So this was all fine and dandy. Now we're to week 5, and I think even at the end of week 4. Okay, week 4, it dramatically jumps to a bit more advanced, I guess. And from here on, it goes even more advanced quickly. And in the past, I've always just kept going. We just keep pushing through and pushing through. And my kids do eventually learn to read. But I realized I need to slow down. Like I said, last year was really rough for school. I didn't have a good plan. We were just kind of like, we're going through the motions, but there wasn't much very good sticking memory. So I feel like I kind of dropped the ball last year with her for kindergarten. We did the work, but we only got through 25 weeks. And it was so disjointed and like long bouts of not doing school that I don't feel like it stuck very well. And so this is what we're doing. I'm going to come back to math. Okay. So we finished up all of week 4 and week 3. And so, and I'm very diligent. So she does her school in the morning. She's after my big girls. And then we do school. We do her main stuff. So that's her reading, Bible, math. If there's an activity, the read aloud. We do all that. And then in the afternoon is, there's a place, I'll show you here, called Reading Review. This is important. In the past, I'd say, oh, it's not important, especially if you have a reader. I don't know if they necessarily need it. If you don't have quite a reader yet, it's really helpful. So we definitely do in the morning. We're now just repeatedly going back through these early pages and making sure she can blend to make these words. And we're practicing all of that. We're also adding in, I've got these little hooked on phonics books. I don't have the teacher's manual anymore, but just the books. So she's reading the first 2 of these. So that's, I think, Cat and Rag. And we're just reading them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to get it to stick. Another thing we're doing. I looked on YouTube and this gal had this cute idea. I guess this is from Sing Song Read? I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is. I had never heard of this before, but I thought, oh, that's a great idea. So it's, you sing, I have kids screaming. So you sing all the vowels, but it's like on a Ferris wheel. So, you know, you start lower and then you go higher. So, and then we take a letter and we just keep practicing going around. Ra, re, re, ra, 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 re, re, ra. And so we practice the blending of the sounds and it kind of makes it like a song. So, and we're just doing a bunch of that. Okay, we're also using these, which I've shown before, these little letters, and we're practicing, like a normal G. I'm building letters and she's practicing reading them that way, or I'm building like 2 letters and she's practicing that. I'm also doing, it's a lot. I'm trying to just really get her like, get that momentum again of blending, and that I feel like I missed from kindergarten. I'm also taking these little discs. You can even see them. So then we're building. She's, you know, I'll tell her, so I'll say a word and then I'll say, tell me the sounds, and that's in the teacher's manual actually. And so then instead of just her having to say it, it gives her like a reference, like, there's 3 sounds. So, you know, if it's cat, it's k, a, t, and then she moves them. So that's how we're doing that. What else are we doing? Okay, we're doing Ziggy games. Okay, and I'm going to say she is enjoying all of this. So it's not like I'm forcing her. She's like, you know, stop, I don't want to read anything else. And we're not doing this all at the same time. So this one has been a favorite right now. This is, and I've shared these in the past. These are Ziggy Zebra games. They come from All About Reading. They are super fun. You know, you got to cut them all out, but once you got it all cut out, it's super fun. So I started, now that I have a laminator, I started laminating the pieces so that it will last even longer. But so each time, these are all upside down, so each time she reads a word from her workbook, she gets to pick a horse. And then if she gets the broken gate or broken fence, then that horse escapes, and then she can read a new word. Okay, so you might be asking, well, why are you pausing and not just going, like keep going? So your teacher's manual is your friend, and in the back, it even says, help, my child can't keep up with the phonics lessons. I don't think I noticed this before. So I actually read, what do I do? And they give a bunch of ideas. Purchase short vowel reader books and use them frequently. Ta-da, I already had them. Use the Lori textured letters. Hey, guess what? I have those from kindergarten. We're using those. Yep, we are. I held it upside down. What else do we do? You could have them read a lesson to their dad, to the sibling. We're doing that. Slow the pace of the phonics. Slow the pace of the phonics lessons. Allow 2 days for each lesson. I actually did that with my oldest when she did first grade. We did a lesson took 2 days, one lesson. You can go back to a lesson which your child was doing well. So that's what we've done. We've paused and we've gone back to doing the older lessons. Another option is to just hold off on this till they're older. Another option is to just keep going with everything else. So that means the Bible, the math, the other parts of the reading. So each day I'm kind of looking at it like, okay, what was she supposed to do? Could she do any of it? So each lesson I'll kind of look at, like, could she do some of this review stuff maybe, or something like that. And then we just do everything else that I've showed. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. So needless to say, so you put a marker where they left off on the reading lesson, and then you keep going and have a marker at where you're actually at. So that's what we're doing. We're slowing it way down. I also have a tutor coming Fridays, every other Friday, which she's a good friend of ours, and she tutored my girls last year as well, my older two, and now we've shifted down, so now she's tutoring my first grader and my third grader, and no longer my oldest. And I just really want to help her learn to read successfully, because I feel like with my older two, it just took a very long time, and I wonder how much of it was my fault because I wasn't diligent in making sure they were practicing and doing these reading reviews and really helping them learn it. I was a little lazy, let's be honest. So I hate to admit that. But like I said, this year is going so much better, and I feel like I have a better game plan. So we're also playing reading games. There's a bunch of, they have again, this is your toolbox. They have a bunch of ideas for reading games in the back of the book. And I just feel like it really is helping me to just relax. It's okay. So our next option is if she just is really struggling, and like, let's say we get to January and we try to pick back up and she's still kind of struggling, then we can just hold off, like continue practicing until she's ready. And then next year we'll just finish up this curriculum, go back to the beginning of the first grade or wherever she's left off, and we'll just finish it. It'll just be in her language arts program, if that makes sense. So I feel like, okay, I have an option if it just gets to be too much for her, and that's okay. So I hope that was encouraging. Like, if it moves really fast for your kid, pause, look in the back of the book. There's resources. They're here to help. There's tools in your toolbox. So that's what we're doing for reading. That was a lot of explanation. Okay, on to math. I am loving these little Stuart Murphy math books for reading for math. So we have 3 little firefighters and just enough carrots. And in the back of this, it recommends a bunch of these. And so I'm just we had quite a few, but I'm just buying them as we go because I just think they're great. They make it really fun and kind of just add to the math lesson. And I have super chilled out on the math lessons. Not that like we're not doing them, but I'm learning to appreciate the hands-on side of it. So we're doing a lot of manipulatives. You know, whenever it calls for it, like either the Unifix cubes or the pattern blocks, or we've got a bunch of different little games with different things. So I'll show you what we did. Okay, so there was one day where she was supposed to count socks, and like the way where our socks are compared to where our schoolroom is, I was like, we'll never do this because I'll forget. It takes too much coordinating. So I had bought these little popsicles with the letters on it, but they're perfect because they come in pairs. And so we had them all separated, and she had to find the pairs and put them together, and then we counted by twos. And she practiced that, so that was fun. And we would count individually, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we put them together, and I'd say, okay, 2, 4. So that was a fun way to incorporate that into the lessons. There was also a dozen day, and we didn't do much with it. I'm really trying to practice with her 100 chart, and like we're counting, doing a lot of counting, and then since we'll use Matthew C for her for 2nd grade, I pulled out the Matthew C. There's a decimal street, I think it's called, and so I was letting her use the blocks, and then she uses these expanded form cards. I haven't cut them all out yet, but these are what we're using for the decimal street, and then she could add do the numbers for that. So she did a couple of pages. But again, in the past, I would make sure like every day she did a page. And now I'm like, you know, if she's counting, we do the calendar every day. We count every day. We count the calendar every day. We are, you know, doing these little things with hands-on stuff. So she's counting things, sorting things, making patterns. We're reading math books. So I'm not as stressed about doing this necessarily as doing like all the hands-on stuff, if that makes sense. Okay, it was a lot for 1st grade. This is going to be a long video. Okay, moving on to pre-K. Okay, so that is Voyage of Discovery. Okay, week 3 and week 4, we are still loving that Steve Green CD, Hide 'Em in Your Heart. So we listened to both songs from that. One was about children obey your parents and the Lord. And I have that song like memorized. So I teach the nursery at our church. And so I think we were doing a lesson on obeying your parents. And so I had them sing that too, and like we clapped to it. It was really cute. Okay, so we finished up creation and God resting. And then we did a lot on the garden. So this was her Garden of Eden, and she made little trees. And again, I use do-a-dots for everything because they're so much easier sometimes. So she made little trees with fruit on them. I can't remember which one she said was. This might have been the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I don't remember. And then she made a little Adam and Eve, and we lost them. I don't know what she did with them. But she put them in the garden. And then you only tape them. So like when they're kicked out of the garden and you tape down a snake, they all have to leave the garden, which I just thought was a great visual. I really like that. So we, of course, read then from the preschooler's Bible. And she learned all about that. It was really funny. It was really funny because she was, you know, we're talking about the snake in the garden, and in it was either in here or here. It said that he had, and it was the verse that he had disguised himself. So she's like, so how he disguised himself? And I said, yeah. So he dressed up as a snake. And I'm like, well, he made himself look like a snake. She's like, okay. So she's sitting there. You can see her little brain thinking. She goes, I know what he did. He took a cardboard box and painted it green and wore that. And I was like, well, they didn't have cardboard then. Anyway, it was so funny, like, watching her, like, think through this, because, like, you know, you're 4, of course, you put on a cardboard box to pretend you're a snake. It was so funny. I had to share. But, so, she learned about the first sin and all of that. I'm not sure how much stuck, but it was still pretty cute. Okay, so we started learning about her letters. So she made her little A and B, and we're really practicing, you know, the sounds and tracing. And we used these. So these were from, I think these were part of, like, these were given to us. Pensacola Christian College. I don't know. I've heard maybe they were from Abeka. Maybe that sounds familiar. That they would have come, I don't know. I have no idea. But if you're interested, this is what they look like. But these are really helpful because they're laminated for when we were doing Play-Doh. Because then we roll the Play-Doh out and then she can just trace the shapes because they're nice and big to do with the Play-Doh. So that's what we do with that. With those. Okay, so for the A and the B, we read from the Alpha Tale books, The Adventure of Abby Alligator, which is funny because my daughter's Abby, so that was fun. And then Bubble Bear, so then I'd have her look for the B's or the A's in the stories, so we really like these for that day. Oh, forgot one thing. Okay, so my parents were I was going through, I don't know, one of us were going through a box of old stuff, you know, memory stuff, and I found this alphabet book that was mine from preschool that I had made. And I was like, oh, this is so cute. I really don't need it. But I was like, maybe I can copy it and remake it for my kids. And then I thought, why am I going to remake it? It's either going to go in the garbage, because I really, you know, as cute as it is, my kids don't care about what I did in preschool. I don't really care what I did in preschool. But I thought, I'll just reuse it. So I just use little index cards, and so she gets to put her stickers. So for A, she did apples and animals, and she stuck that on there, and then that was my writing. So I had her write hers on the back of that. And then these were mine when I was in preschool. So I did an astronaut, apparently, and an angel. So I'm not sure. It looks like they just took paper and folded it over short. They like cut paper in half, okay, and they folded it and then they glued it on the sides. That's all it looks like they did. I'm not going to take the time to make this, as cute as it is. I'm not going to do that. So there you go. So but B we did. So again, we got butterfly stickers she got to stick on, and then she made her bees, and I had made B for bear. So, super fun and way simpler for this year. I just feel like I'm kind of trying to make it as simple as possible for me. So, that's what we're using for her special, what is it called? Art activity. This is her art activity. So, my one thing is I have to keep getting stickers because that's the easiest to do for these. Okay, back to Bible, because I think I missed week 4. Yeah, so we learned about the flood. So she made a little Noah's Ark. We just used a little cardboard box. And we cut it, and she colored on it to look like a boat. And then she put little food. That's not food. Food scraps. And then this is supposed to be poop. And then instead of making the animals, because I think they recommend making them, my husband had got this pack of little itty bitty animals. And there were 2 of each. And I was like, perfect. These are going to be for Noah's Ark. So this is what we use for Noah's Ark. I think these are from Hobby Lobby. If you're interested, they're itty bitty. He got them on sale, so they might be gone. I think they were like $1 or $2, but they were perfect for Noah's Ark. So that's what we used for that. And then for the, not Adam, for Noah and his wife, guess what we did? We used Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. Like I said, I don't know if it's being lazy or just being resourceful. One of the two. You can make the decision on that. But we just reused them, and then we said they were now Noah and his wife, and we stuck them in the boat And there you go. That worked out. Okay, we also read Over in the Meadow. I'm not going to grab the book, but this was mine growing up, Over in the Meadow. Apparently we kept a lot of my childhood things. I don't know why, but this is a really cute version of Over in the Meadow. And then we read the original one by, well, it's not the original, but Ezra Jack Keats, I think is his name, version. My favorite part is the bees, because it's the little honeys 5. And I have 5 little honeys because they're my 5 little girls. So I think it's really cute. So we read both versions of that. I did lots with the learning about colors. Instead of having a snack based on the letter, we just read from this. Eating the Alphabet. This is by Lois Ellert. Oh, so for B, we looked at the stuff for B, and for A, because I always forget to go to the grocery store to get snacks for the letters. Okay. She also read about being on a boat. In this one, we really like this one. So that was fun for her to look at the pictures. A voyage on a ship. And did I tell you everything? I think so. I think that's pretty much it. So there you go. There's Voyage of Discovery. Super fun. And just trying to get all these lessons in. Okay, I've got one more kid. Here we go. Okay. So, all aboard the animal train. Now again, I'm only doing this 2 days a week. So we are to week 2. That's it. So we read The Runaway Bunny by Margaret Wise Brown. And I'll be honest, I think he's a naughty little bunny. So we actually call him a naughty little bunny for running away from his mommy, because that's being a naughty little bunny. That's how we read that book. Okay, then we read First Virtues. And read White Rabbit's color book, which is a super cute book. And the colors, red, and you find all the colors. So that was really fun for her. We also read 5 Animal Tales. She is loving doing school, so that's why we kind of read extra books. We read from in here. So we read the story about the little bunny, the rabbit, and the turtle. So that was fun. And I just think the pictures are so cute in here. And of course, the rabbit loses still. But it's a super cute book. So that was fun to read. What else did we do? Okay, so she was supposed to paint with red pudding or berry. You're supposed to make a berry pudding popsicle. We didn't do that. But I just let her paint with red. She had a lot of fun with that, and that was good enough. She also painted her little Bible verse rabbit, and you can kind of see the verse on there. And then she learned about Jesus loves the little children, and so she got to paint that. This is from Big Book of Coloring Pages. So, and again, she's really into painting with just red or pink, so it made it cute. She's loving her Sing for Joy CD. We listened to Teensy Weensy Spider, and she sings it so sweetly. So make sure you're singing with your little 2 or 3-year-olds, because it is so cute. It's just so cute. So, there you go. I think that was everything. We, of course, did surprise time and cleanup time. I'm talking a lot. So there you go. That was a lot this week. 2 weeks. That was 2 weeks. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you have any questions or comments. And I apologize that I'm not always super prompt about getting back to you guys. I have to sit at the computer to do that, and sometimes I don't get a chance to sit at the computer like I hope. So, but I do read them. I just take a while to respond. So, anywho, If you like this video, here are some other videos to go and check out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and you can hit the little bell button. There's somewhere around here is a bell button that will alert you when I make these videos. I hope to see you at the next video. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.